Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I am talking about La La Land. So I got to see La La Land yesterday. It was I saw it with my whole family. It was an excellent film. 5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. It really blew me away. I highly recommend seeing it, and I'm not a huge fan of the Oscars. I think they I really liked monster trucks as well. I would be listing monster trucks on my Oscar list, right? But there's a kind of movie that the Oscars actually give Oscars to. So of the films that are being considered for Oscars, like Fences and La La Land and Moonlight and movies like that, I absolutely would choose La La Land out of those films. So I think La La Land is one of the best films of 2016. It was released in 2016, but it was really fantastic. I really enjoyed this film. By the way, spoilers all over this. All right, so La La Land was written and directed by Damien Chazelle. I am familiar with his work, but not as much as I'd like to be. So the way I am familiar with Damien Chazelle's work is that I really like, I wanted to see Whiplash. So Whiplash has been on my to-see list for a very long time, right? J.K. Simmons and the young man who was in Fantastic Four, who was in War Dogs. He's been in a few other films, right? So Damien Chazelle really got a lot of buzz off of Whiplash, and Whiplash was considered a very special film. And off of the limited budget that he had for Whiplash, he was able to make this film, La La Land. Excuse me. So he was able to make that film, and really, I think he has really done an amazing job with La La Land. So let me talk about La La Land for a minute. La La Land is the story, it takes place in modern day, right now, of Hollywood and people trying to make it in Hollywood. It's a story of a young jazz musician named Sebastian. Sebastian is played by one of my favorite actors, Ryan Gosling. I've been a really big fan of Ryan Gosling for a long time. I think he's fantastic. One of my favorite films he was in was Behind the Pines. He's really good in that, and he's been good in many other films. I think he's a great actor who really has never landed in the right movies. I think, the fact that he's not in Star Wars or in a huge franchise, I think is problematic. I think he's a bigger actor than he has had a chance to be given. So I'm really excited that he's in La La Land, because I think there's a definite possibility it should absolutely receive multiple Oscar nominations, if not some Oscar awards. Really fantastic film. I really enjoyed it, and he really shines in this film. The story is also about Mia. Mia is an actress in Hollywood. She's a girl who's gone to Hollywood, who's trying to be an actress, right? And that is, and so Mia is in that role. And Mia is played by Emma Stone, right? Now I've seen Emma Stone in a few different things. I'm pretty sure she was in The Help, and she was in the Spider-Man movies. So very interesting actress. I think she was excellent. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone did a fantastic job with this film. And actually, one of the things, I'm talking about the people a lot about this film rather than the story. And the story is very good, and I really enjoyed it. But I really am fascinated with the craft of La La Land. The craft of La La Land is fantastic. So this is, it just sucks you in from the first minute of the film, right? The opening of the film starts with this really big musical number, right? And the movie is technically a musical, but in some ways it's not a musical, right? It's very unusual from a musical perspective, right? Really fascinating. So Damien Chazelle is doing a story about Hollywood, giving an homage to old Hollywood, but telling it with new Hollywood people, right? And, just really doing a great job with it. Now, one of the things he did was by casting Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, he made some really specific choices. These are actors, an actor's actor, right? These, actually, Ryan Gosling is an actor's actor. Emma Stone is a good actress, but a lot of people would question if she's like a top tier actress. I think she's fantastic, and in this film, she proves she can act with the best of them, in my opinion. I think she did a fantastic job. But one of the things that Damien Chazelle made a choice was he made a choice, so he's doing a musical, right? But he's also doing a really in-depth story where he needs really top-level actors. So he made a decision to get the best actors he could get and teach them to sing and dance. Now, when you see the film, Emma Stone did not need to be taught to dance. I thought she was doing a fantastic job in the film and was really a very competent dancer. Ryan Gosling did a fantastic job, and they did a good job with the choreography to make it look like he was a good dancer, right? And I think he really threw himself in the role, worked really hard. But I think this is the right decision. I discussed this with my daughter, Autumn. She's going into college next year, just to give you the time frame. And she said that she thinks they could have done this with Broadway actors, right? And I was thinking about that. Could you get top-level singers and dancers and then just rely that they'd be able to bring these performances, right? Now, I think it's possible you could do that, but the other issue is La La Land is getting not only is it getting critical acclaim, it's actually starting to make some real money, right? Which for an Oscar film, that's a big deal, right? And so I think people have been going to see Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone because they have existing fan bases, right? And so I think Damien Chazelle did a fantastic job of bringing a movie that can be considered critically, but also can have a commercial success, right? There's also, I really, really like this movie a lot. And I think the success of this movie really, it absolutely lies on the shoulders of Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, in that they could have dropped this, right? But I think the brilliance of the film really comes from Damien Chazelle. Not only did he cast it perfectly, I think he did make the right choice. I think Broadway actors, nobody would have went to see this film with Broadway actors in it. He did the right thing by bringing real Hollywood stars to this film and then teaching them how to sing and dance, right? And then the other issue that I thought was really fascinating, and I said this, I brought my whole family to this movie, and I have kids my oldest son is about to graduate with a bachelor's degree, and my youngest son is 10 years old, and I have 2 daughters, right, and my wife. So I'm an evangelical Christian, and so how did I bring my kids to a movie about Hollywood, right? I was curious that myself. Before I did that, I looked it up through a parental guidance thing, and the thing that I care about the most is that the adult content, the sexual content is low, right? And it was non-existent. Now, this is the story about 2 lost people. What I mean by lost people is neither one of them are Christian in this film. There's absolutely there's no identifiers for Christianity within the film at all. And so I believe they are lost from the perspective of an evangelical Christian, which means that, and young people today, if they're not Christian, there's a few other faiths where monogamy, even more than monogamy, celibacy before marriage is not really a thing, right? And so in this film, I was wondering how did it get this rating if it's being told about two young people? Again, it was a very distinct choice from Damien Chazelle. So the way he shows that they are a traditional, modern couple, right? Which means that they are not waiting to be together before they're married. But they don't show that act at any point. What they do show them is they show, that they're at a place where they're living together. They're just in the same room, right? And so that was really interesting, and it was fascinating because as an evangelical Christian, I know other evangelical Christians, and if you're an artist, and I am an artist, I'm a writer, and you're an evangelical Christian, you're like, how am I going to tell stories, adult stories, without putting in adult content, right? And this movie does it, which is really bizarre because I'm almost positive that Damien Chazelle is not an evangelical Christian or any, so I'm really curious where that decision came from. But it was really amazing. This movie is highly accessible, even to younger people, and it has themes that are more mature than the people who would be able to see it because of the choices that were made by the film. Excuse me. It really is a very unusual mixture of content and choices. And Damien Chazelle, man, this is like landing a plane on a 100-foot landing strip. Like, it's just really, really well done. One of the things that's pretty amazing, too, is just his camera work is amazing. His casting is amazing. The writing is amazing. And one of the other weird things is I took a look at, Damien Chazelle's Wikipedia page. He's pretty darn young, which means that he's going to have a few more movies in him. So, one, I really need to go back and see Whiplash. Just check out what's happening, there. And also, it's been on my list for a long time. And the reason I couldn't see it is it didn't drop on any streaming, at all, which is kind of, any streaming services. But I'm also very interested to see what movies he does next. It's really a very interesting film. I highly recommend seeing it. It has a lot of powerful moments within the film. And also the movie is really about, it's about romanticism versus realism. It's about making art, and it's about when you give up. Like, at what point do you give up? How do you give up? And then also there's even questions about, are there people who stop you from giving up? And who are those people, and when do they affect your life? The movie's also about timing, right? Which is really fascinating. And it's really something. It's amazing. It's really an amazing film. So that is La La Land. Take care, everybody.